Okay, welcome to the after show.
That was quick.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm gonna get the hang of it. I'm gonna kind of break it up on the Spreaker thing because it's the first night we're broadcasting live on Spreaker.
That's pretty cool, Ed. That's pretty cool. I'm on the first live broadcast of the Opperman Report. That's awesome.
Dude, thank you very much. And you know what? Would you be interested in playing your podcast on other stations?
Yeah, actually, I'm very interested in syndicating the show. You know, the guys at Jackalope have really backed me to the limit, and they're interested in, us building a big audience. So that's what I'm all about. I want to reach as many people as possible. I work hard on my show, and I'm trying to get better every day. And in fact, if there's anybody interested in having us do more of a regular radio show like yours, on my show I curse like a sailor. I almost laid an F-bomb on your show, and I caught myself halfway through. I'm really proud.
You came close a few times,
But on Hart Attack, I'm like the yelly, angry guy. I'm not always the yelly, angry guy, but, I'm trying to make a better show every week, just like I'm sure you are.
Yeah, we're trying to grow. Now I'm contacting all these new syndication networks and stuff like that. I'm working on deals to get on AM, FM radio stations as well. So things are really going to take off if we had just like one big, really good sponsor that wanted to carry us to the next level, man. That would be the greatest thing on earth.
Dude, that's the hard part because I don't know how many sponsors you've dealt with, but collecting your money from the sponsor is the hardest part, especially if it's a direct marketing sponsor. That's a nightmare. And yeah, I'm talking about the little brother of Mr. James Cameron, little Johnny Cameron. You owe me money, dude.
Oh, really?
Baby. Yeah, I've had some issues with sponsors
Ed,
in the past.
I heard that Revolution Radio just lost their YouTube channel. Do you know about that?
Yeah, you heard about that, huh? Their new channel is, I got it right here, to keep up with the Revolution Radio. It is, my computer's running really slow right now because it's Freedom Slips Rev Radio on YouTube. And if you search YouTube for that, otherwise it's on youtube.com user Revolution Radio, then the number 2. Yeah, some kind of problems they're having over there. I just actually hired today the guy who does the YouTube channel for some of the biggest radio hosts and radio shows out there. Okay, I've become friends with some of these guys, some big stuff, And he says he's going to triple my traffic. And so once I can guarantee this, I'm going to be contacting all the stations I work with, and hopefully they'll work with this guy and really double all of our income.
No, that'd be great, man. I mean, that's the real trick at this. People at home that listen don't understand that we're taking our time out of our week every week, and no one's paying us. It's not like, I've got Coca-Cola coming in and laying a big fat check on me for harassing politicians that are crooked.
It's so true. I got people like Kif Davis volunteering, and Ann Francis and Christoph Scott Moses, who volunteer to put this on each week, because we're all putting in pretty much like a 40-hour week to get the show on the air.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I have to admit that Hart Attack, I started off as just Hart yelling at people hour, and now it's evolved into something more, and it takes a lot more time to prepare, research, get your facts right.
Exactly. Yeah, booking guests, scheduling guests, locating guests, and then doing the research on the guests to do a decent show. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. My wife is telling me now that the LAPD is currently looking for 4 armed men in our neighborhood. So she's got the front door locked.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, how nice. And on Sunday, they busted a gangbanging dude running around with a gun. 4 blocks down the street from my house. I saw it while I was walking my dog.
Well, let me ask you guys. We got Keith up there in Portland, and we have you in L.A. I'm here in Vegas. With what's been going on this week over there in Ferguson, Missouri, okay, have you noticed any local protests or demonstrations against this?
Yeah, there's been a couple here in Portland.
I haven't seen any here in L.A. I'm sure there are, but me personally, I've been involved in, this weekend we were at Scare LA shooting for American Horrors with Count Crazy Craig. Friday I'm at a lard factory where The Orphan Killer 2 is shooting, and the killer has like stolen my car, and so he's got people he's killing with my car. So I've been involved with a lot of like movies and shooting, and haven't had a lot of time. I'm not really on top of what's happening with this shooting at all. Actually, I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, up here in Portland, they had a protest yesterday at Pioneer Square downtown, and then they had one over by the police precinct in northeast Portland on Killingsworth, and I know they're having another thing tomorrow. It's set up by this guy Jesse Spoonberg, and actually his mother works at this place called Dottie's right off of Division and 119th Avenue, which was right around the corner from where I used to live, and his mother was actually shot in a robbery. It's basically like a little place that has a lot of lottery games and different stuff, and some black guy came in there and shot his mom during the robbery attempt, and luckily the bullet only went in her leg and went out the other side, and she's doing good and recovering and stuff. So, but yeah, he's a guy around here that sets up a lot of different stuff. He set up that Ferguson protest thing here in Portland yesterday at the police precinct.
What's the story? I don't know what happened. My wife says there's some other video release saying he was some robbery suspect. What happened in Virginia? Or it's in St. Louis, right? What happened?
In Missouri.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? Before you start, there's an informational picket line against police brutality in Memphis, Tennessee. It's coming on Monday, August 18th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's in front of 201 Poplar, Memphis Police Headquarters. And this is put on by the Memphis Black Autonomy Federation, which is Lorenzo Kumbawa Irvin, who hooked us up. Keith hooked us up with him. And his email address is organized.the.hood@gmail.com. Former Black Panther for self-defense.
Nice.
Yep, and he wrote the book Anarchism and the Black Revolution, which is a really good book.
Yeah, incredible guy.
I actually met him in the early '90s, and I've seen him speak a couple times. And one of the times I actually videotaped it in Boulder, Colorado. And yeah, he's got a pretty interesting story, and he hijacked a plane after taking on the local KKK and the racist police department and stuff, and getting roughed up by the police a bunch of times. And they basically told him they were going to kill him, so he kind of got all scared and hijacked the plane. And yeah, he's got a really interesting story, though.
Yeah, Castro gave him up and put him on a plane, a commercial flight to the Czech Republic. You know, he gets off the plane over there. He thought he was going to get asylum, but he had no idea. You know, no one knew what he was doing there. So they put him in jail over there. Then the U.S. Embassy grabs him, right? He escapes from the U.S. Embassy cops, and he's running down the street in the Czech Republic. They were going to shoot at him, but they said, no, we better not.
Jesus.
It's an amazing story. So they try and run him over with a car, and this guy, he outruns the car. It's like one thing after another. But they finally got him. And it's a fascinating story, man. It's up on the Opperman Report YouTube channel. Great guy, 70 years old, man. He's out there still fighting, still organizing, man. I gotta take my hat off to him. But Keith, why don't you tell Hart about what's going on with this Ferguson stuff?
Yeah, basically the police shot this one unarmed guy, and now there's a lot of riots going on and civil unrest.
Keith, did they shoot him in the back? Did they shoot him in the front? Where did they shoot him from?
I'm not sure exactly where they shot him.
I can tell you what happened. What happened was the cop backed up the car. The cop saw these two 18-year-old kids walking down the street, and they were jaywalking in the middle of the street. And the cop told them to get on the sidewalk, right? Then the cop, and they said, hey, yeah, we're getting on the sidewalk, cool it. So the cop backs up the car and tries to open up the door and hit him with the door, and then he yokes him, and he's like yoking him through the window.
So wait a minute, this gentleman, the police officer tried to back his car up into the perp?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was he thinking? I'm going to back my car up. Most cars got cameras on them.
No, not in Ferguson, Missouri. They have no cameras on the cars, okay?
So he felt like he could get away with it, huh?
Well, get this, man. It's 66% black in that town. There's only 20,000 people who live in that town. There's 53 cops and only 3 black cops.
Well, I got family in St. Louis. I got friends and people in St. Louis. Some of my girls that used to roll through the comic conventions with me are there. I've been to St. Louis. I'm from Chicago. So I've been around St. Louis. I understand that town.
Yeah, this is a fascinating story because what happened was then they left this kid's body in the street like all day long. They shot him in the afternoon and they left him there all day long. And then,
that's a statement, man. And they didn't put a sheet on him or nothing, did they?
Later on, they did. But then they didn't even...
Later on, they did.
Yeah, no, wait a second. They didn't even put him in an ambulance to get rid of the body. They put it in the back of an SUV.
That's insulting.
They just left him on display like a trophy, basically. Yeah. And
I will say this, though, Ed. When my girlfriend was murdered, they didn't put her in the back of an ambulance. They threw her in the back of a damn station wagon.
Really? I didn't know that.
It was disturbing, yeah. And then they put that on the news.
Really?
Yeah. I actually got in trouble because I threatened to maim a news director in Champaign, Illinois for their coverage of my girlfriend's murder. And thankfully, the threat worked. They changed their coverage.
Well, with this kid, then the neighborhood made a memorial in the street because it was right in the middle of the street where
that's terrible. That's really awful.
Dude, wait till you hear this, man. The cops drove over the memorial. Okay.
What?
Yes, man. Then they didn't interview any of the witnesses that were with the kid who saw, the kid had his hands up when he got shot. He got shot in the back running away too.
So he was shot in the back and he's unarmed.
Yes, man. Yeah. So
what the hell?
It's a tiny little neighborhood. Everybody knows everybody. So the whole town shows up and started protesting. The first night they got a little out of hand. Okay, they did burn down the quick stop. It's called something like that, or the quick trip. It's called over there.
Right.
And they burned it down. Okay, and they did a little bit of looting. But the cops went in there. They got the county cops came in. Cops, you didn't know their names and stuff like that. Whatever. They went in there with giant tanks, military tanks, and snipers, and all this kind of stuff. They were lobbing tear gas. Al Jazeera was there with a setup with their cameras and stuff like that. The cops lobbed tear gas and rubber bullets at Al Jazeera, then took apart their
reporters.
Yeah, dude, man, you got to see this.
What are they doing? What do they think it's?
They have LRAD electronic warfare weapons and
they arrested.
Well, wait a minute. What's up with the snipers too? It seems like lately we heard reports of there's like the whole confrontation over the gentleman who was trying to get his cattle fed on public land, and they said, oh, no, it's about an endangered turtle, when it was really about Harry Reid's deal for Chinese wind farms, and they had snipers there, too. Why do law enforcement all of a sudden have snipers everywhere? Because snipers are about killing people. They're not all about apprehending criminals. A sniper is only there for one solution, which is deadly force.
Well, yeah, in Missouri just this weekend, too, the cops were constantly pointing their laser sights at the protesters. Women with babies. Dude, you have no idea how bad this was. They arrested 2 reporters, a Huffington Post reporter and a Washington Post reporter in a McDonald's. It's on video. They have all this.
Is this the one where the reporter got slammed into a wall in a soda machine?
Yeah, that's it.
What is wrong with... You know what it is these corporations that own our government think that they've won. They think that we, the people, are done. They think that we're easily cowed. And they're wrong, because all social change comes from the street. It comes from us, the people.
Well, they backed off, okay, and then they appointed a new cop in charge. And then, he made nice with the crowd and stuff like that, and then they backed up all. So it's been nice the past couple of days, but so much of this, I wonder how much is a psyop, because, with the whole Trayvon Martin thing, I was involved in that case a bit, okay?
Okay.
And the thing is that with Trayvon Martin, is that the people who we count on, the people with the balls to march in the street and to defy authority, were there marching in the street demanding that their right of self-defense being taken away from them. And they were demanding that their right of a jury trial be taken away from them. It was
That's insane.
It was a total manipulation of the movement, or whatever you want to call it. And
that's what they do. They come in and they co-op a valid movement. They spend money. They hire fake cyber trolls. They got their sock puppets. They spend their money, and they think they've got it won.
Well, look at Al Sharpton. The guy's totally co-opted. Now it's all over the place that the guy's an FBI informant. I've been saying that for years. The guy's been totally co-opted for years, since the 80s.
Totally. And
a lot of times too, like people don't know this, but during riot situations and stuff, a lot of the people that are actually doing a lot of the rioting and the looting sometimes are government agents and stuff like that. Like up in Canada, they had all these black bloc anarchist protests, and it turned out that a lot of the so-called anarchists were actually cops, and a lot of they totally got confronted by other protesters for being cops and stuff, and then it later came out in the news that they were cops, and that was during all the G8 stuff. And so a lot of the times, a lot of the rioting and other stuff, I'm sure some of it is actual, like, real people that are just pissed off and want to go riot and stuff like that and show their outrage. But, sometimes a lot of the stuff that happens actually is all, different government agencies. And with the rise of all the mercenary armies that are embedded into our culture at this point, too, you could easily see some people like Blackwater or G4S or some of these other guys going in and creating situations to cash in on the whole crisis, so.
Well, back in the 70s and 80s, when I was with the Yippies, we would see people would come to the organization meetings beforehand, and they would just be troublemakers, and then later on at the protest, we would see them with the cops. We would see it. We saw this. This happened over and over again. One time, there was a guy, it was at one of the marijuana Mayday parades. I guess it was around 77, 78. And one of these guys, these troublemakers, who we knew from the meetings, ran up on the stage. He punched Dana Beal. And his face got all bloody, his teeth got all bloody. And then later on, he was over there with the cops. It was obvious he was one of the cops.
Yeah, I've met Dana Beal a couple times. I know he was kind of instrumental in getting the whole ibogaine thing going.
Yeah.
Like to get people off of heroin with ibogaine, which is the iboga root from Africa and stuff. And now they have a bunch of clinics like that down in Central America and Belize and Mexico and all over Europe and stuff. And it's actually like a really good miracle cure for people that are like strung out on various drugs, from heroin to cocaine to alcohol and meth and all kinds of other stuff. And actually,
it works.
That
you think that stuff really works?
Yeah, I actually have heard from other people that have actually used it and got off it, and I know Dana Beal actually, he was strung out for quite a while, and he got off of heroin by using that ibogaine, and I've seen him at a bunch of different marijuana rallies and like the DC Smoke In and other hemp festivals all over the East Coast and stuff, where he did a lot of talking about that stuff. And
yeah,
he was actually the first person that I ever heard about.
He just did some time for possession of marijuana. I think it was 200 pounds, and he was in there for about a year and a half, 2 years. He must be out by now, I'm sure, because this was going on for a while. But if you look up the whole Dana Beal, I don't know how to pronounce that. I always thought it was ibogaine, something like that, but But that stuff, if you look up the Staten Island Ibanez Project, it talks about Fred Gottbetter, who was a hero of mine, a best friend of mine when I was growing up in Staten Island and going down to Yippie headquarters all the time. Fred Gottbetter was, a mentor to me. He was at the time, he was the Yippie spokesman. And he's mentioned in that the Ibanez Project on Staten Island. If you look that up, it all talks about Fred. And he actually died of his heroin addiction ultimately. But for a while there, he also claimed that he had a cure or a healing with the I thought it was pronounced Ibanez.
It's Ibogaine.
Yeah,
Ibogaine. Like
yeah.
IBO and then GAINE. I'm actually, trying to do something here in the future here in Portland, Oregon to maybe start some Ibogaine thing, but I'm not going to do an illegal Ibogaine clinic or anything like that. But up here in Portland, Oregon, we have ayahuasca churches.
Oh, really?
Which, in the Oregon State Constitution is actually really good, and it's like one of the strongest constitutions in the United States of America. And so people here in Oregon, they fought for the right to use ayahuasca under their church and stuff. It's called the Church of the Sacred Rose. They have one here in Portland, Oregon, and I think they have another one down like in the Medford or Ashland area too. But
have you ever tried that?
No, I've actually tried DMT before, but not ayahuasca. But I do know friends of mine that have gone down to Peru and stuff like that and hang out with medicine men and stuff in the Amazonian jungle, and they've done that stuff multiple times.
Because we were
jungle drugs. Yummy, jungle drugs.
So real quick, man, we were talking about the Dana Beal, right? Now, you know the whole story about the Pope of Pot, Mickey Caesar, right? And his story, correct?
Yeah.
I know I don't.
Mickey Caesar was
the Pope smoked dope. Got the song by David Peel and the Lower East Side.
Yeah, but Mickey Caesar used to run Dial a Joint back in New York City on the Lower East Side.
Dial a Joint.
Yeah, the phone number was 777-CASH. But the thing is, it was right next door to Yippie headquarters. I think it might have been like a partition that was cut off. He had his own private door. It was a little tiny little place where he lived. But now you know the story about him, man. He was an open member of NAMBLA and a pedophile, and right next door to Yippie headquarters, and must have. I can't believe he was getting his marijuana from somewhere else. Can you?
Yeah, and he was also praised multiple times in High Times and a lot of these other legalization things like that. But I didn't actually hear about that till like later on in my life about all his sordid history stuff, and I kind of thought he was like,
because I've been there, to his house, and there was a bumper sticker right on his front door that said NAMBLA. He was a member of NAMBLA.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
On your front door? I can't wait to have man-boy love. On your front door?
Yeah.
There's actually that guy, Peter Lamborn Wilson, who also goes by the name Hakeem Bey, and he wrote that Temporary Autonomous book, which is pretty popular. He was a member of NAMBLA too. He's pretty well-known anarchist and stuff like that, but but he kind of took his anarchism in a whole different way, he's all into the whole concept of sexual anarchy, and which is a whole nother form of whatever, but there's definitely a certain amount of people within the underground that are involved in all that stuff, like Dennis Perone, the guy who got weed legalized in California. He got busted with with child porn on his computers, and you know he's like the main author of Proposition 215.
Yeah, I'm not up on the pot advocate stuff. I'm just not. I wasn't really a pothead guy growing up, you know?
Yeah, I've smoked weed my entire life, basically, since I was a little kid. So I've been on the front lines of marijuana activism, and you know I've actually met Dennis Perron multiple times, and he was actually friends with my mom, but then I found out a bunch of different stuff about him, you know, through, he was also, like, really good friends with Harvey Milk, and,
right.
He has a thing in the Castro district called the Castro Castle, and, he, did the whole, Castro Street Fair thing, which, recently, like a few years back, they were actually selling bondage gear aimed at like little kids, like 3 years old, called fetish tots. If you want to look up something sick, just go and just put fetish tots. And I think the paper that covered it is called SF Gate, which does a lot of reporting in the Bay Area. But yeah, if you I'm sure if you guys are in front of your computer right now, you can just put in fetish tots and you'll see what I'm talking about. But
you're saying tots like, you know, TOTS, like tater tots, like fetish tots.
Yeah, and it has like all these like village people type outfits that are geared towards little kids.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. You know, and another one too is Allen Ginsberg, who used to come down to Yippie headquarters as well, who is a notorious. I didn't know it at the time, but now I know he's a pedophile.
Really, I didn't know that.
See, a lot of people don't know. He's actually.
That makes me feel bad because I was recently compared to his writing.
You know,
by a local artist, and I'm like, oh no.
I was a fan of his poetry too, and I didn't know it at the time. But there's actually a movie that's on YouTube called Chicken Hawks that has him as an old man openly talking about his love for little boys.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa. Damn,
and
I had
a lot of people
no idea.
basically just blow this stuff off because they're like, well, he's a great author. He's done this, he's done that, or whatever, you know. Like, same with Dennis Perron, you know. He's still in high times and all that stuff, you know. They still praise him as a hero, even though he got busted with child porn on his computers. And
well, here's
the
the thing.
He got off, basically, is he's involved with the whole power structure in the Bay Area, and he knows a lot of the judges, and he knows a lot of the powerful people, and he basically just got off because of that, you know?
Keith, he was discovered with child porn on his computer. Was he discovered with any kids? Because it seems to me, under the auspices of the ongoing COINTEL slander programs with COINTELPRO, how hard would it be to just place this on this guy's computer?
Yeah, these guys are open.
Oh, yeah, it'd be pretty easy to do that to anyone, including any of us. But
yeah, it could happen to any of us, man.
The thing is he was good friends with Harvey Milk, and Harvey Milk was a notorious boy lover, and, you know, used to have a fetish for little runaway street kids. And, you know, I actually know someone who was picked up by Dennis Perron, who used to be a street kid in the Bay Area and stuff. So I actually know someone personally that was picked up by him, and I found out about that about 5 years ago or so from someone who I know from Portland, Oregon and stuff. And also there's this guy Harry Hay who is considered like the godfather of the gay rights movement, and he marched with NAMBLA and stuff during the gay pride parades, and Dennis Perron actually rented a room to Harry Hay, who's like the godfather of the gay rights movement, and was a member of NAMBLA, and he rented a room at the Castro Castle to Harry Hay at a discount rate, and you can just put Harry Hay and Dennis Perron and Castro Castle and do a Google search for that, and you'll see even in the way I actually found this out was in a gay news website actually that was talking about that how
throw a couple of things.
Dennis Perron saves the day. He's helping out Harry Hay, who's all bankrupt and can't afford to live anywhere, so he's giving him a place at reduced rent. So so he's obviously hanging out with NAMBLA members and people like that, and then he has child porn on his computers, and then he basically got off by saying like, well, there's guests that come to my hotel or whatever, and that's like the guest computer too, so anyone could have been viewing and downloading child pornography onto it. So I don't.
And you don't download child porn on accident. Listeners at home who are hearing this, you don't accidentally download child porn. You gotta find that stuff. It doesn't just happen to show up in your browser. Okay.
A couple of things, guys. Okay. Back in New York City, when I lived in New York City, and I left there in 2000, at the Gay Pride Parade, when NAMBLA would march in, and they marched every year in the Gay Pride Parade.
And what does NAMBLA have to do with being gay? It has nothing to do with being gay.
Well, but let me tell you something. They were cheered on by the crowd year after year after year. And another thing, too, I want to talk about High Times Magazine, okay? High Times Magazine was funded, Tom Forsyth, all that stuff. It was funded by Larry Flint and Hustler Publications, okay? He made a deal with them where he bought them. It was a sweetheart deal. He would buy the magazines for cash and then resell them. So Tom Forsyth and those guys from High Times had nothing to worry about how many issues they sold because Larry Flint bought every issue they printed. Now, on top of that, High Times Magazine, that I know for a fact, okay, that one of the guys who later on, I don't know now who the editor is right now, who the main guy over there is, but I know for a fact that a guy that at one time was the main guy over there was a police DEA informant because he was involved in marijuana deals and walked out, and everybody else in that room got busted but him.
Gotcha.
I know for a fact personally.
Interesting how that works, huh?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the underground media and alternative media has always been infiltrated by government agencies too. It's like going back for a long time.
That's the way you do it, Keith. You find something successful. It's hard to build something successful. It is hard to build a successful radio show that captures the zeitgeist. And so it's easier for them to come in and marginalize it by co-opting it and buying it out. You send in Trojan horses, they cough up money, everybody likes money, and then away we go, off to the races. And next thing you know, Bill Maher is a bought and paid for rebel on HBO. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's happening all around us. And guys like us, the question is when does one of us get bought out? As soon as we start to get too popular and start to influence people too much, and then they come up and they try to seduce you.
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of harassment, too. I don't know.
There is a lot of harassment. And as you know, Ed, I had stalkers and death threats. My house got robbed in Champaign, Illinois, because the local news broadcast that I was out of town for the weekend at a horror convention. And the next thing you know, the news was there because somebody kicked in my doors and robbed my house. And all this was on the news before I ever even got home from L.A. Okay? All this happened because the news media engineered it.
When was
I'm out of town. Right? You get it? I mean, I'm gone. I'm out of town. Does the harassment happen? Hell yeah, it happens.
When did this happen?
This happened back in Champaign, Illinois in 1992 when I graduated from college. I went off to the Fangoria Horror Convention, and I was doing the Dahmer books, and so a local news crew broadcast that I was out of town.
Right.
And then my house gets robbed, and then my house like my door kicked in and my clothes strewn out down the driveway is on the news before I even get home from L.A.
Yeah, you know, I was involved in the case with Sarah and Todd Palin, and with my client was Shirley Tripp, the woman who was involved in prostitution with Todd Palin in Alaska. And I wound up, we did a testimony, and I was involved in a congressional investigation, congressional hearing on all that. But the same thing happened to me. Not only did they broke into my office, which was really secure, but they broke into my house too, where my dog was. So they had to have put my dog to sleep in order to get in and get out, because that dog was very, very protective.
People have been messing with my car. My car's out in the open. I drive an '83 Chevy Impala. So like somebody ransacked my car, Ed. They went through my car. I took my dog for a walk. I go out the front door. It was a short walk, so we were back sooner than we normally were. And we come back, passenger doors open, all of my things from my glove compartment's open, and it's all neatly organized on the front seat. The pens are neatly organized next to each other. The CDs, yes, I have CDs in my car because you get better audio quality. MP3s are terrible. My CDs are all laid out, which you could steal if you're a junkie and sell and make money. All my things were laid out and neatly organized on the front seat, and we caught. They were gone. There was nobody there. Since I become politically involved, more has happened to me than during the Dahmer days when crazy stuff was going down, and I had a gay stalker. I had a regular stalker. My house got robbed. You know what I mean? I was being threatened by police and told, do not publish Michael Diana, or we're going to come after you for distributing obscene material across state lines. So I got involved in these issues in my neighborhood. And now all of a sudden, somebody comes up on my front porch and unscrews the light bulb and leaves the light bulb out. And they are messing with the speedometer of my car because it's easy to reach under the hood. And they're doing different tricks. They were stealing gas out of the gas tank. I had to buy a locking gas cap. They stole the registration off my license plate, which has never happened to me in my entire life. And I've lived in this neighborhood for 14 years. They have definitely, I've been followed around. I've been followed. I've had my phone develop the weird sounds and buzzes and clicks on my landline. All of these things have happened once I got politically involved with Hart Attack and got involved in local politics involving real estate and these bike lanes.
Yeah, we had also too the lug studs on my car. They would over tighten the lugs and snap those studs. Yeah, you know. And another thing that happened too is it never happened before, and I get a lot of I have a digital forensic laboratory, okay, and so we get evidence from all over the country from different police departments all the time. But this one case, the Sarah Palin case, when the package came, there was a little pinhole hole in the package where you could stick a little, pencil camera.
You get a pinhole camera in there.
Pinhole camera in there. Yeah, a little pinhole camera there. Never happened before, never happened since. I get packages every freaking day. So, yeah, so this stuff does go on.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
and the more
I actually had my place broken into multiple times, and, I usually go out and take my dog on a walk and go for, a half hour, sometimes even 45 minutes or so, and I'd come into my house and it'd smell like Febreze, and I don't use Febreze. I actually hate Febreze. I hate the smell of Febreze. And so, and I actually had artwork that I did 20 years ago or so, and I came in and I found some of my artwork was slashed up with razor blades, and all kinds of different stuff like that definitely happens. And it's not. It might not be the government. It might just be some mercenary group that you pissed off, or some local pedophile, or whoever.
It happened with a satanic group. Keith, the same thing happened with one of my film teams. Was investigating a paranormal investigation in Illinois at Ashmore Estates, and they came across and got involved in an unsolved torso murder in a small town of only a few hundred people with 8 murders in it. And a lot of them, they had a satanic cult operating in the neighborhood, and my film team started having sabotage happen to them. They had somebody mail them somebody had taken the VHS tape out of a Flash Gordon movie and a commercial release, and they put in a different videotape guts of about 8 minutes of a satanic rite that then later on the producer had his house ransacked. They broke into his house, and they ransacked the whole house, and they didn't steal anything. They just went through everything. But I had the tape out here in California.
Hey, you know what? That's a good point. Because it's not always COINTELPRO. It's not always the FBI.
No.
It's not. Because when I had my thing with the Sarah Palin thing, intelligence agencies from foreign countries were also trying to infiltrate us and stuff like that. From one you could imagine right off the bat.
Yeah, right.
Guess who it is. And another one was one I was really surprised. It was an Asian country, but it happens, man, and it's out there. And there's other groups too, man, like the Scientologists and the Freemasons. They have intelligence groups that work for these people, just like I work for people. And it's
the Vatican has its own intelligence arm, and they have the Vatican Guard or the Swiss Guard, and they're their own country state within the nation of Italy.
Wait, by the way, where the age of consent is 12 years old in the Vatican. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've got my own bone to pick with those people. I've got a real problem with the Catholic Church and how they've handled worldwide molestation cases. And in fact, I believe the Vatican is satanic. They are not for Jesus or the teachings of him.
Wait, real quick though. Now I had a guest on last week, Steve Wick, who wrote the book Bad Company about the Roy Radin murder, and that involved the Cotton Club movie. And
okay, I know what you're talking about.
Right. Okay. Now the guys who killed Roy Radin were these guys that are known. Everyone talks about them. They say that they were Larry Flint's bodyguards. Okay, and they were involved in Satanism and all kind of stuff too, right? But they were involved in another murder. These guys were hired to murder this woman who was a 250-pound black prostitute who ran a phone sex operation, right? Now, it's a fascinating story, man.
Oh, it makes me wonder, what did she hear that she shouldn't have heard?
Well, who knows? Because she was kind of stalking this guy too. She was vandalizing his car, and she would call the guy who hired these hitmen, right? Mm-hmm. She would, and we have the phone records. She would call him up 50 times in a row, 60 times in a row, then call the Vatican and talk on the phone to the Vatican for 20 minutes, hang up, and call this guy back another 30 times. And there's dozens of calls to the Vatican, man. Explain it. And it's just like an afterthought. The police were puzzled why she called the Vatican. What the hell went on there, man?
Nice investigation. What are you guys, in the Glitter Dome?
I don't know if I remember. Larry Flint's bodyguards, they were all linked in with the Process Church Final Judgment, though, too, right?
Yep, that guy Menser, yeah. There's pictures of him with a gun with a silencer on it in front of a pentagram. See, Steve Wick last week, he didn't want to go down that road, okay? And if he doesn't want to, that's fine. I'm going to bring in other guests to go into all that.
That's a conversation you have with him off the air, so he's not put at risk.
Nah, not even off the air. He won't. I'll bring in other guests. I have no problem with that. We're going to cover that story from end to end, ultimately, on the Opperman Report, no doubt. Because that's one of my big topics, is all that
Satanism that's being hidden by the public?
Yep.
From the public?
Yep. And the Process Church, Son of Sam, all that kind of stuff, man.
Even more so,
you want to know who
the Franklin affair with Dick Bryan.
As a guest, too?
Who?
You should try and get on Shane Bugbee. You know who he is, right?
No, don't bring on Shane. Don't bring on Shane. He's a charlatan.
But he's got some pretty. Have you heard his?
Keith, I've known Shane for a long time, and I could say some things about him, but I won't go on the air to talk about it. This person's a charlatan. Watch your back with this guy. Watch your back. I'm warning you, Keith. I've known him since the early 90s. I've been victimized by this person. This person is on. No, he's on my list. You don't get it. No, Keith, you don't get it. He's on my list. No, he's on my list, Keith. No, Keith, he's on my list. Do you understand? He's on my enemies list. He's on the list. This is a horrendously evil person who steals from people, ruins people's lives. He's a bottom feeder. He is a human piece of garbage that steals from people at their worst. All right? I've known this guy for a long time, and I could get a lot more ugly here because I've been victimized by this man, Keith, and he's on my list. Do you understand me? He's on my list.
I just want to make a disclaimer that this is in no way.
Well, I'm glad I'm not on your list.
Keith, if you start working with him, I'm going to have to stop working with you. He's on that list. You understand me?
Let's talk about this off the air.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm just talking.
I cannot let this man's name be brought up without me speaking out. This is a piece of human scum, and he's part of the satanic network. All right?
But he's not here to defend himself. And, the opinions of Hart Fisher is no opinions of the Opperman Report or CJMarsRadio.com or any of this kind of stuff. But Hart, hey, listen, you got an opinion.
That is exactly correct. Yeah, Keith just walked into a can of worms he didn't know about on the air. That's all.
You know what? We should talk about this off the air, and we'll get into it, and we'll figure out.
You guys should be warned. I should warn both you guys off the air what you're dealing with. I'm very serious here. You have not heard me get this upset till now.
I've never heard of the guy, so hey, but you know what? We got Christian Wallace here.
I just heard his little interview with the Process Church of Final Judgment when he was trying to set up a thing with the best friends people and stuff. It's a pretty interesting his little interview with those guys. And
he's a bottom feeder. You got to watch out for that gentleman. He's a serious bottom feeder that victimizes
I'm not endorsing the man at all by any means because I've only met him one time with Mike Diana one time, and that's about it,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what else, man? In this business, there's so many people that we can all run around exposing. We can make it a full-time job, and really, Now,
this involves my wife recovering from cancer in the hospital. This involves some really personal, ugly stuff. This is really ugly shit. Damn it, I swore on the radio. I'm very sorry. I have to stop talking about Shane. I get really upset.
Yeah, we got to watch that. Okay, hey, we got Christian Wallace, though, tonight, man.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, bro, what's up? Hey, Christian Wallace got a new show called Infornation. It's on CJMarsRadio.com. It's on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, your time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard.
There you go, my man. Hey, so what do you got to contribute tonight, my friend?
Well, I was just listening, and in general, really, interesting stuff. And I'm right with you with I think earlier you were talking about the National Geographic. The drug stuff really gets me going because, I do work in that field, and I've seen it ravage a lot of people. And you talked about, selling out of the back door, and here we had the OxyContin surge that really, with the pain clinics down here, that was just awful and scandalous, and a lot of people died before 2009 because then they changed the way that they were, they had set up their the availability, basically. A lot of stuff changed. It's a topic for a whole show. But the other thing was, I always knew from working in that field, I said one day, when I saw reality TV starting up, I said one day they're just going to put straight up shows about junkies on the air, and it'll be called, drugs or crack or coke or whatever. And on the National Geographic show, I think it was Hart that was saying it, they got shows where people are just like, yeah, the high's still good, man, and that's all it's about. And then it's like, it is the most base form of, they just follow around a crackhead, on his daily adventures to go find dope. And what it does is it's like an ad for
because back in the 70s, okay, no one knew in New York City what exotic marijuana was, or Sensimilia, or Hawaiian pot. None of this, no one knew what it was back in those days. But 60 Minutes did a show on Hawaiian pot, and how it was $300 an ounce, and all this kind of stuff like that. It was so great, the best stuff in the world. No one knew what the stuff was. But once they did that show, the next day, everybody wanted Hawaiian, Sensimilia, the seedless, blah, blah, blah. It was an advertisement for this stuff, too. And I've seen this before in other areas with stuff. This is, and you can't, and even Hart would know this because that's how the media works. You can hire press agents and stuff. Even if you're a drug dealer and you have a new product, you can hire press agents to get your press to get this stuff out there. That's just how it works.
And the press, how they work it too is they report the deaths and junkies would be like, "Oh my God, these bags of heroin are killing people. We need to go get those because they're strong." I mean, that's how they think. I mean, crazy.
Yeah, because a lot of junkies actually want to die, but they don't want to commit suicide. They want to die through overdosing too, you know.
Yeah, the whole thing is suicidal, yeah.
I want to say it like this because I just want to make my position clear. Like, I'm of two minds when it comes to the marijuana, medicinal marijuana. I'm a health freak and everything, and, you know, I've been 230 pounds and, you know, super athletic, and, you know, I've been in both sort of, you know, had one foot in each world, and I understand why, you know, there's a good case to be made for people that have cancer and AIDS, and, you know, there's very valid reasons to you know, make marijuana available. But at the same time, like I said, you know, I'm kind of two minds about it, only because it is carcinogenic to an extent because you do have to smoke it. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of research that I think if you're healthy and you don't need to, more power to you. And if, unfortunately, you know, you're sick and that's the only thing that helps you, then, you know, it should be made available for that, and it should be like states' rights.
Well, there are ways to take this drug without having to smoke it. You could vaporize it. You could get edibles. In fact, you could use them as topicals. In fact, with arthritis, pain, and joint problems, they find that the topicals work very well, and smoking it isn't just about the cancer from smoking cigarettes also has to do with all the extensive additives that are put in there, the ammonia, all the other drugs and poisons that are put into a cigarette that make it cancerous. Whereas when you smoke cannabis, you don't have those additives. If you're lucky. I mean, there are some very unscrupulous people out there that are doing all kinds of things to make the cannabis give you the quote high. But there are ways that you could imbibe this that don't have the same kind of cancerous effects. It's not just about smoking. Vaporizing is a way that's come a long way, actually. They've figured out many ways to vaporize the contents of the leaf, and you're getting water vapor, so you're not burning it, so you don't have those cancerous issues.
Sure, you're absolutely right.
One of the big problems about legalizing, too, actually, is Monsanto is going to take over the wheat industry. And if you know anything about Uruguay and how they recently legalized marijuana there, who was behind that was Monsanto and the George Soros Foundation. So I can guarantee you, in Uruguay right now, they're already working on genetically modified marijuana. And, you know, even as an advocate for marijuana and someone who's fought for medical marijuana rights and even recreational marijuana rights for a long time, at this point, I really don't want to see it fully legalized, because then Monsanto's just going to get their dirty little paws in it, and, you know, once they start tinkering with the genetics, like, most people don't know right now that 90% of all tobacco is genetically modified, and, you know, they can put viruses and different things into, just like in Africa right now, they're putting like malaria vaccines into potatoes and stuff like that. Well, they could, you know, if you can put vaccines into potatoes, then you could also breed diseases into potatoes too. So
not only that, but Monsanto,
weed.
More than that, Keith, Monsanto's known for taking its copywritten and trademarked seeds and allowing them to escape into the wild and allowing them to escape into other people's farms. And then what they'll do is they'll come along and somebody will be farming and not know that their corn has been genetically hijacked, and the Monsanto will say, look, we can prove that this corn's ours. Never mind that we let it get into your property. Never mind that we let it blow out into the wild. Never mind that it's everywhere now. We own it, so therefore we get a piece of the action. They're the true evil going on right now.
Organic farmers and stuff, too, they're having their crops infected with that stuff, who have worked for 20, 30 years to have a organic product, and now their stuff's getting cross-contaminated with genetically modified garbage. So, you know.
And let's
really
break it down. Let's break it down for the neophytes. You know, people at home might not know this, but one of the things about marijuana is there is a natural anxiety key in your brain, and marijuana replicates that genetic key exactly, almost as if it was created, and it helps you with a lot of anxiety problems. Now, when you've got a crop like that you could just grow at home, that anybody, the reason they call it weed is it'll grow anywhere, and it doesn't require a lot of water. You can be growing this in your backyard, and in my mind, that is the true threat to the medical establishment that wants to get you addicted to a pill, and then they could run you around because you're a junkie now.
Yeah, but you want to know what? I stopped smoking marijuana because I smoked years and years ago. Because it was making me paranoid and making me agitated. I stopped enjoying it.
Or were you already paranoid and it just let you feel it?
What about me?
Right? Well, you were already paranoid, and all it did was lead you back to yourself.
You know what? I don't know about that, but it became unpleasant as it got stronger and stronger. Because you got to remember, I started smoking back when Colombian pot, a lumbo, $300 a pound, brown, Colombian pot, and
right.
When there's, this sticky green indoor grown pot you could throw up against the windshield with stick on the window. When that stuff came around, I just couldn't handle it.
Well, it's getting stronger all the time. It's getting stronger and stronger.
I can imagine, yeah. And I can't imagine, to tell you the truth.
Well, I got my medical marijuana card myself, and I don't smoke all day long, but I do smoke pretty much every day. So, and it helps me out with the anxiety and different stress issues, and also with stomach issues and other stuff, and it's definitely a good plant overall. And it's a lot of kids that have epilepsy and stuff, they're actually getting marijuana tincture these days, and they'll go from having like 300 seizures in a month to having one or two and things like that. So it's definitely got its place as medicine, and it's always been used as medicine by a lot of different cultures. And I've been to Jamaica and stuff, and a lot of people there that don't even smoke it recreationally. A lot of them have some in their medicine cabinet just for stomach ailments and different things too. So
yeah, it was definitely good for my stomach. I'll admit that. But for the rest of me, I quit for a reason. I didn't like it. It got to the point I just didn't like it anymore. But listen, guys, it's getting late, and I got to call into Shake and Wake. Is a brand new station. I know, yeah, right. Those guys, you guys should call over there with me. But Shake
right after the marijuana segment.
Yeah, no. Listen, they're really cool guys, really cool people. Rick and Annie, they started their own station tonight. Tonight's the debut, And I'm gonna have a show over there on Thursday nights. And Hart, I'm gonna talk to them about you if you want to play your podcast over there. I'm sure they would take you, okay? Because you got good stuff going on. And Chris Wallace.
And the only thing we want to make sure of is, since Jackalope Radio is a real radio network, we play a lot of licensed songs. So we want to make sure whoever we syndicate with, their proper licensing going on, so the music that we play is okay.
Yeah, they won't, but I got other people I can talk to you about, okay, that pay for that licensing. So I'm gonna hook you up, dude. Okay? And Christian Wallace, you're gonna call over there too?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If my throat holds out, I'm sick. I'm under the weather. That's all. That's what I'm worried about.
Smoke some marijuana, man. You guys got Chris here, man. We need to fix him up. He's sick.
Well, if it's a cold, you need some more vodka to clear out the viruses from your throat. They can't handle the booze. When I used to do comic conventions, I did fine when I was drunk off my booty, but when I went sober, I always got sick.
See? That's why
that might be what it is. And I want to make one last statement about the pot is that I definitely don't think anybody should be put in prison, for, possession of marijuana, especially non-violent, drug offenders. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. That's a whole other story.
Oh yeah, private.
Yep, and it's never killed anyone except maybe by them falling asleep at the wheel or something like that. More.
One time I dropped the pill on a guy's head, man.
Can't overdose on it.
All right, Keith, when you want to say goodnight and give people your PayPal again one more time, then we'll let Hart Fisher go on and give his plugs. And Christian Wallace, you can plug your show, and then we'll go call up Shake and Wake.
Yeah, you can use my friend's PayPal account. It's angelsofdeath.com @gmail.com.
Hart?
All right, guys, watch American Horrors for free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could download the filmon.com app for free. Watch on your iPhone, your iPad, your smart device, whatever the hell it is. If you can get Wi-Fi signal, you could be watching the best damn horror channel in the entire world for free.
Chris?
Awesome. And my show's on 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Information Radio, with me, Christian Wallace.
On cjmarsradio.com. I want to thank Cindy here, who's the coolest radio show owner, station owner that I've ever met. Thank you for all the time and everything you do for us, Cindy. Thank you very much. I want to thank Kif Davis, who is the coolest producer I've got. And I got two really cool producers, Kif. Okay? I got Ann Francis, who's super cool and gorgeous. And I got Christoph Scott Moses, who's an artist and a cool guy and a technical guy. But I love you, Keith, man. I thank you for everything you do for the show.
Right on, man. Thanks a lot for having me and Hart. And I'll definitely be talking to you here pretty soon again and suggesting a bunch more guests for you and stuff.
Always, man. Thank you very much. And Hart Fisher, thank you very much, man, for coming on. And let's talk during the week, and I'll talk to you about some stations that I think would really love to carry your stuff.
Hell yeah, and let's schedule out the time for when you're going to appear on Hart Attack as a guest. I'd love to talk about your background and what's going on in your life before you became a radio show host.
Oh, sure. Oh, forget it, man. I'll tell you everything. All my secrets. I'll tell you where all the bodies are buried.
Awesome. That's what I want to hear.
All right. Pacific West Bamboo, 503-8391-8126. Dimroots at oppermail.com. You can find her on Facebook, Pacific West Bamboo, your #1 source for timber construction and craft-grade bamboo poles, plants, and products. They specialize in eco-friendly reclaimed wood products for the home and garden, located in Portland, Oregon. They servicing the Northwest for over 10 years. They can be reached at 503-839-8126. And they can and do ship nationwide. InfinityHomePlans.com. That's Mike Gray. Check out Infinity Home Plans and Design Services, your resource for 3D and 2D draftsman services. They offer a multitude of products, including stock home plans, 2D digital drawing sets, 3D models, renderings, and more. EmailRevealer.com, the home of the online infidelity investigation. If you think your boyfriend's cheating on you, give me his email address, and we'll trace it back to online dating websites. Okay, the Revolucion Mexicana. Okay, I love this group here. There's a group of Mexican women in this village called Guerrera in Mexico. It's a state in Mexico. They have a video where you can learn how to make authentic Mexican jewelry. They sell their book on Amazon.com. I'm going to have the link up on the website, the OppermanReport.com. Their website is Revolucion, REVOLUCION -Mexicana -MX /wetback-world. Okay? And that's where they sell their book. The book's on Amazon for $19. It's about how they love their man that went to America to support this village. It's about their they have a video and a class they teach about how to make authentic Mexican jewelry. And these guys are our sponsors, okay? And we got to love them. We got to support them. I think right now we are supporting this whole town over there because all the men are in America. They got nobody to support them. So we need the Opperman Report to rally around together and support them. Support Keith. And check out Hart, the Hart Attack on jackalope.com. All right, guys. I'm wiped out. Are we done? Can we go now? Okay, guys.